Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us for our weekly webinar. We're super excited about this week's webinar. I'm Jennifer Harris.
And I'm Adrienne Ostras.
And today we're also excited to have one of our integrity team with us today, Mr. Bob Grannon. Bob serves as Integrity Marketing Group's Managing Director of Sales and Marketing. Over the course of his career, Bob has been instrumental in his development and marketing of industry-leading in the senior market product. So we're so happy to have him here to present the new Aflac final expense. I know this has been something we've been talking about. We've got some information, and with no further ado.
Yes, good morning, Bob.
We'll turn it over to you.
Welcome.
Good morning, good to be with you, and we're going to see if we can get my screen to show here as we walk through some of this material. And if you will let me know, is the Aflac screen on there for you? Does it look right?
Yes, we see it. It's just not in presenter mode yet.
Yeah, let me see how I go about doing that. Should be.
I find the easiest. It's in the bottom right corner. The little, yep.
How's that? Ta-da!
Perfect.
Well, again, good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Grannon, as introduced, and I'm part of the Integrity Marketing Group Shared Services team. And you might say, what does that mean? The Integrity organization is made up of a number of partners, including elder care. And as part of being a member of the Integrity family, they tap into other resources of our organization with subject matter experts and system support people to help them grow their business. And we bring the resources to them to help you, the agent, reach and hopefully exceed the goals you've set for yourself and for your organization. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about a new final expense product that's coming into the marketplace presented by Aflac. But I'm also going to weave into my discussion why this is something that I think that you would find of interest. I'm an individual who, when you think about opportunity, you want to be able to have the chance to succeed with your goals and be able to have a market that is robust. You don't have to go looking under every rock to look for an opportunity, but the market has a number of people who have a need, first of all, and you as an agent have the ability to present options to them to respond to that customer need. And the Aflac final expense product is a product that permits you to be in a position to, in fact, offer solutions to customers responding to a final expense need. Now, one would say, well, you know, why is that important? You know, what is it about it that's going to make that valuable to a customer? Oops, got my screen moving too quickly. You know, it's in life, we really don't control everything that happens to us, right? But we can, in fact, make plans that provide our family with financial security and peace of mind looking to the future. It's a fact, and if you don't have this statistic, please make note of it. And that is 100% of us are going to die. We don't know when, but it's going to occur. And the other reality of that is someone is going to pay to deal with those end of life expenses. It is just the reality of life, and we have no way of avoiding it. A final expense product provided by Aflac or one of the other quality carriers of elder care gives people the opportunity to make plans for these inevitable expenses and the inevitable situation that's going to occur in life. Avoid the financial strain. Those left behind are going to deal with the emotion. You can't fix that, but you sure can help them manage the financial strain associated with the loss of a loved one and potentially the loss of an income earner. Aflac brings a number of things that are incredibly valuable to you as a producer. Number one is the Aflac brand name. Within the world, and I didn't say America, within the world, it is considered to be one of the 5 most recognized brands. So when you sit down with a client and they're curious about who you represent, they may have a good impression of you, having known you because you possibly have helped them with their Medicare products or other type of insurance products, but they don't know who this, who's this company you're wanting to suggest to them that could offer a solution to their situation. Well, when you use a name like this, it gives you immediate credibility, and you have a brand that has a lot of pride in their brand. They take it quite seriously, and they also consider it to be really valued by the client. It's not just something that's taken lightly with individuals. Final expense is that policy that in fact does provide resources to deal with those end of life expenses. And I'm going to deal with some of the specifics of the product a little later, but I think it's just totally important to make sure we know why it's important to have a conversation with the family about their life insurance, and why whole life insurance, which is what final expense is. We call it final expense because that's how the dollars are going to be used. They're dealing with end of life expenses. You lose a person and there are certain costs associated with whether it's burial, whether it's planning, whether it's working with an attorney. There's certain costs that occur at that life event. So this provides you the opportunity to fund that. As I said, final expense is a whole life policy, which means it stays in force for your entire life. You pay for it during your entire life, but ultimately when life comes to an end, there's a benefit. We say whole life is so important because an alternative is term insurance. Term insurance, by definition, is for a period of time. Statistics tell us, and this is one that I was surprised when I heard myself, 98% of the time, people outlive a term life insurance policy. Said another way, 2% of term insurance policies pay a death benefit. Now, some term policies have a living benefit, which provides value, and there are those cases where someone dies prematurely and the term comes to play and a death benefit is paid. But in all cases, if a whole life policy is in force for the life of the person, as you can imagine, benefit will be provided to those left behind. So final expense is a whole life policy there to provide benefits to a family, because we all know it's just a matter of when. We don't know when it's going to occur, but it's going to occur, and this program gives you the ability to prepare for that. It's interesting to me that frequently people do not know what the cost of dying is. And this average cost of a funeral of $7,800 and change, it's across America, but if you live in Miami, if you live in New York, if you live in California, that number is going to be much higher. This also is dealing with kind of the basic needs. There are people today who says, well, I'm going to be cremated, I'm going to save that money. Well, that's maybe 15% less than a traditional funeral. So the cost is there, and this does not even consider any transitional costs that a family may need to consider because of someone passing. That's strictly funeral. A lot of folks also are mistaken saying, well, I have Social Security. Well, Social Security pays a $255 benefit when the first to die occurs in a couple, husband and wife. Spouse dies, $255. When that second spouse passes, there is no benefit. So as you can imagine, $255 is not going to go very far if you have a situation where you have a person passes and you're trying to deal with the expenses that they're seeing. One of the tools that's available to you which I think is really pretty cool, is this little analysis that says, here's the kinds of expenses that you would be faced with. You have final expenses dealing with burial. Maybe there's near the end of life medical expenses where someone does something extreme means to try to help prolong life, and it doesn't get covered by insurance. So you could get into taxes with your attorneys. There's just someone passes and they've got utility bills that are going to run another month. There's just a series of things that could come into play that are real expenses at the end of one's life. Now, earlier we talked about $7,800 being the cost of passing. Well, it's best estimated you can double that number when you consider some of these other things that come into play. Well, within this product, within the tools you have available, you can in fact quantify just how much insurance someone may need in determining how much they should purchase. I want to make a statement here too, that for those on the call who may be working with clients on the Medicare side and you've not thought of selling or talking to them about life insurance. Final expenses is fairly simple, as we'll talk about a little bit further in a minute. You ask a series of health questions. The questions are answered yes or no. You determine if you're eligible, and then you decide just how much coverage you would like to purchase. Some say, well, is it really all that important? Well, every day, 7,000 people die in America. Of those 7,000 people, it's estimated that half do not have an individual life insurance policy. Of the half who do, it's estimated that 25% do not have enough to cover strictly the funeral part of what we're estimating. That's $7,800. So as you can imagine, if a person doesn't have this coverage, how will they handle it? It's also estimated that some 70 to 80% of Americans, if they had to come up with $5,000 emergency money, that would be a challenge. So people just can't turn quickly and have access to those kinds of dollars. They may have those dollars, but in dealing with the funeral, you're talking about within literally a day or two needing to have those resources available. So insurance, life insurance, does something no other product can do for you. Having this in place is essential. And I challenge those that are sitting there today listening and saying, I work with my customer for their health insurance and I'm not sure I want to talk about this. Well, let me pose this question to you. I'm going to pose a couple to you. If you don't have the conversation and you happen to go to the funeral of a person, you find out they had not made plans, I think as an insurance professional, I'd feel pretty bad that I had not had that conversation. Number two, if you don't speak with them, what's going to happen? One of two things. First of all, it could be another insurance agent, a competitor could talk to them about this need. Or number two, the worst case is nobody talks to them. And now you've left this burden with the family. So I challenge folks that if you're not having that conversation with your customers, have it so that you can help them consider a plan that's within their budget that they qualify for to help them make provision for this kind of obligation. Now, something about this plan that is very attractive is it's flexible. As you can see from the screen, it's available from ages 45 to 80. The amount of maximum coverage varies by age.
Hey, Bob, can I throw something in?
Sure.
So I don't know if you mentioned this, but I did want to point out that on that previous slide that is something that Aflac provides for agents to utilize. It will be in the brochure. It will be in the presentation.
That is exactly right. And I think later on in the presentation, we will, if we don't, I was going to talk about some of the tools, but no, that's a perfect example. There's a brochure. And this brochure not only has this need sheet, but it also describes Aflac. It also describes what final expense life insurance is, and it also describes some of the riders available. So it's an excellent tool, no cost, available to you. Good point.
Yes, I know that agents utilize these worksheets pretty often, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yep.
And I did also want to point out, we're like halfway through, and I just wanted to say that on the webinar, sometimes the questions lag. So agents, if you do have any upcoming questions you're going to have, you can go ahead and comment them. That way there won't be a delay come time to ask questions.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
One of the things that when we use that analysis sheet, and I'm going to go back to it, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Many times when you sit down with a customer as a professional advisor, the customer will say to you, well, how much insurance do I really need? Well, you don't have a crystal ball, but if you through these questions, you walk through this checklist of kinds of items, you can then quantify what the need is. Life insurance is what we refer to as needs-based selling. It's not somebody wants it. Somebody doesn't want to just have salt and pepper with their steak. This is a need. You're going to pass. There's going to be a cost associated with that. And a person has the opportunity to put a plan together to minimize or eliminate financial burden on those left behind. For those on the call, I'm sure you participate in the loss of a loved one somewhere in your life. And I personally have seen cases where there is a plan in place, and I've seen cases where a plan is not in place. The pain is incredible both ways, but I assure you, having a plan softens that pain and permits a person to say goodbye, to deal with final time with the situation in a way that they could not otherwise do if they had these resources. And so it's just such important, so important.
Absolutely.
This product, as I mentioned, you have the ability, once someone understands how much they need, a second part of life insurance is to understand what can you afford, because you need to pay for this for life. So what's really nice is you can sell as little as $5,000, as much as $40,000 to a 56-year-old. So if a person, once they've qualified, once they know what they need, then you can adjust it as needed based upon their finances. You know, I tell people there's three important things about life insurance. First of all, you have to qualify. Number two, you have to be capable of paying. And number three, you have to be willing to pay, because insurance that's not paid for provides no benefit. So I encourage you, as you talk with your customers, first of all, say, we'll see what you qualify for. We'll determine how much you need, and then we'll make sure it fits in your budget. This gives you that flexibility.
This is golden advice. I totally wrote that down.
And you know, we sometimes think somebody says, oh, I need 50,000. Well, let's make sure you can afford 50,000, because if you have it for a year and you stop paying, you have nothing. So let's make sure we understand that. As you go through the application, what's also nice is you don't need to make a decision about which product for the customer, because the age of the customer, the health of the customer, the sex of the customer, their smoking status, those four items will determine what you're eligible for and what is the best value for you. Later, we'll see that there is a preferred premium, a standard premium, and there's also what's called a modified plan. Those are all determined based on the health of the client and to some extent their age. Once you have those questions, this is the best value for the person. Sure, if someone qualifies for preferred, they can get insurance that's less expensive than someone who qualifies for modified. But the fact is, we're all different, and we have to look at our own health situation to determine what's best for us, what's available to us. And these options within the Aflac portfolio, very, very similar to other companies, and it gives the person a lot of flexibility. Under the level plan, if you qualify, you get first day coverage, full benefit. Under the modified plan, it's for someone with more health issues. In the first 2 years, they're going to receive a return of their premium plus interest. And at the start of the 3rd year, they would get a full benefit. The exception is if you were to die due to an accident in the first 2 years and you qualified for modified, it pays the full face amount. There's also this, that's the same for the level benefit. It's available from the very beginning if there's an accident. You know, some people say, well, how often does an accident occur? Statistics in America show that if you look at 10-year age increments, death due to accident is one of the top 10 causes of death, regardless of age. It varies based on age, how far it is up that list, but accident does occur.
Yeah. I think Aflac is known for that, right? Too.
That's they have, you know, one of their biggest policies, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Now, someone says, well, what do you expect to see with this product? We expect about 70% of customers to qualify for preferred. We think that about 20% will qualify for standard and about 10% would qualify for modified. Now, I use those percentages. There is a percentage of people who will not qualify for coverage, but those who do find themselves eligible for coverage, that's kind of the mix of business we're expecting. You'll notice the age range is a little narrower for the modified benefit, and the maximum coverage is a little less, again, because the risk is different there. There's some riders that are really available for the level plan. These are not available on the modified plan, but I think these are really, really value-added riders. The first one, called the accelerated death benefit rider, is available at no cost. It is built into the policy. And if a person is diagnosed with a terminal illness and is expected to die in the next 12 months, by choice, they could accelerate the death benefit up to 50%. So let's say you had a $20,000 policy, diagnosed with a terminal illness, they could request a payment of $10,000 up front. Aflac would withhold a $200 administrative fee, and that's the only cost associated with it. Those dollars can be used any way the person wants to use them, and they are totally tax-free. Life insurance proceeds like this are not taxable. A second benefit on the level plan is what's called the accidental death benefit rider. We talked about death due to accident earlier. If you buy this rider and there is an additional premium and a person dies due to accident, it will pay twice the face amount versus just the face amount, and it's available for issue ages 40 to 70. Even though the policy itself is available up to age 80, this rider can only be offered up to age 70. And then the last rider, which I think is pretty neat too, it's available for children and grandchildren. It's a person must be at least 30 days old, but less than 18. And they can get anywhere from $2,500 up to $10,000 per child. And there is a premium fee per child and for each increment. But it's coverage that permits them to have coverage on these children. It can be added after the policy is issued. Additional children can be added. There are a few health questions, but it's a great way to get a health insurance program in place for a younger individual. And a policy, once the person gets to be 22, between the ages of 22 and 25, they can actually convert this to a whole life policy for that person. So neat little feature. And in today's environment, we have a lot of, I want to say we have several multi-generations in a home. So being able to offer this as an option to a parent or grandparent provides really a nice little option to people.
Yeah, we had an agent ask if it's a flat fee per each child for the 25K.
It is the same rate for $2,500 regardless of child's age. But if you go to $5,000 or $7,500 or $10,000, it would be more You do establish an amount that is the same for every child. You can't vary it by the kids you love the most, so to speak. You pick an amount, would apply to all children, and that rate would be per whatever amount you have selected.
Okay.
All right. Within the life insurance world, there's a couple features that exist here that I think are important. Let's say a person has paid on their insurance for a period of time and they've built cash value in it. And at some point in time, they can no longer pay. They could use that cash value to pay for a reduced paid up policy. They can use those funds to extend the policy for a period of time. You can even use the cash value to potentially make a premium loan to pay the premium. I think it's important to know these features exist. What's most important for the customer is if you want to keep the maximum value in your policy, then you want to just continue to make your premiums on time. And at time of need, the full face amount is going to be available to the family. And that's what's really important. These are good features to have. They are rather seldom tapped into, but it's important to know they're there in the event somebody has thrown a curveball in life and they need to look to their policy to have options to keep it in force and not have it lapse on them.
Options do provide that peace of mind.
They certainly do. You know, it's kind of funny. It's nice to know that if you have to, you can call a neighbor for help, and you hope to never call them. Right. And that's what you want to have, these choices. Good point. This next element is really, really powerful. Every day, 10,000 people turn 65 and start, become eligible for Medicare products. And depending on your age, it may be 67 before you get full benefit with the scale. But those who are on Social Security deposits, many of them like to use the timing of that deposit to coincide with the timing of paying their life insurance. So Aflac has the ability, if you provide that information at time of sale, they can make sure that the day the deposit is made to your account is the same timing of the withdrawal coming out to pay your life insurance. So it helps people budget. And this is just a really, really valuable tool and something to help the customer manage their finances. Not all companies offer this type of schedule, and it's a really, really great tool, and they're able to do that. Now, this page kind of deals with some of the limitations and exclusions. I personally believe that what's most important with life insurance is what it does. And I think, though, that it's important that if someone, these unusual things occur. For example, if the insured, while sane or insane, dies by suicide within 2 years, the death proceeds will only be returning their premiums. So there are some things like that about life insurance that come into play. If you have not been in the industry selling life insurance before, I encourage you to look through these things. I think they're pretty obvious as to why they exist. If you've been in a business before, you're going to say these look an awful lot like I see with every other insurance company. As you know or may know, life insurance is approved at a state level. It's not like Medicare, which gets down to the county, but it is at a state level. And for the most part, a lot of states are similar. There's an organization called the Insurance Commissioners Compact, includes over 45 states, so that when a product is submitted for approval, it gets approved in all 45 states. Now, there are the outliers: Florida, California, Connecticut, North Dakota, South Dakota. There's states that don't follow those exact rules. What it says is rules like this show up consistently for most states. It's one of those, the devil's in the detail with things like this, but it's just a simple reality. And it talks about some of the other accidental features that come into play as well. Pretty straightforward. And again, I don't put the same kind of emphasis on all those because Number one, they don't happen very often. As a professional, you need to be aware that there are some unusual aspects about life insurance that are important for people to know. The process for this product is it is an electronic application. You will capture basic information around the customer. You will walk through a series of yes/no questions. You do not have to ask their height and weight. Interesting, a lot of people find that as an awkward thing because folks tend to underestimate their weight and overestimate their height.
Why
You
did
don't need to worry about that. You've never heard that, have you?
I've never done that.
No, and it's, and there's nothing more awkward for an agent to have someone do that underestimation and you just don't know how to handle it. You kind of smile. But the good news is in this application, just ask the health questions. No height, weight. The electronic application will tell you what they qualify for. And at the end of the application, you have the ability to adjust the amount of coverage to match up with their budget. The other thing that's cool at the end of the electronic application, 60% of the time, it's going to tell you they're approved or it's being referred to underwriting. I guess there's really three options: approved, declined, or referred to underwriting. The cases go to underwriting, then are decided within 1 to 2 days. It could require a phone call to the customer to clarify information, but the good news is a high percentage of cases are getting that decision within 90 seconds sitting in a person's home. Really a powerful opportunity. Oh, and let me tell you this. Let's say you have a customer who's at a distance away, but they're willing to talk to you on the phone. You can call them. You could do a Zoom call, or you could just call them, get their email address, and in the electronic app, you click a button and it sends them a package of information. You do not have to do anything after sending that information to them relative to that package. You just have to send it to them. So they do have to have an email address. Over the phone, you can ask the health questions, complete the application, and at the end, you will ask them for a security question. And it could be your mother's maiden name. It could be your pet's name. They provide that to you, the agent. You key it into the computer, and then you say, Miss Johnson, may I apply your signature? She says, yes. You click a button. That's the signature process. It will go through the automatic underwriting, determine whether there's a decision or not, and you can tell the customer on the phone you're covered or it's been referred to underwriting. It's one of the simplest electronic apps I've ever seen. There's no back and forth of information other than to have sent the package of information to begin with. Very, very simple. And I think you'll find, for those that are new, the other good thing about the electronic app is it's just follow the instructions. Read the question, record the answer. Read the question, record the answer. Very, very straightforward, very simple. Then upon approval, within just a couple of days, they in fact are going to get the policy mailed to them and the premiums will begin. A couple of other things about application. Most cases are sold with people doing bank draft. And that's a key to the system. You can, as I said, time that bank draft on any day you want, or you can line it up with the Social Security deposit schedule. A person can receive a bill if their bill is quarterly, semi-annual, or annual. There is no monthly billing. The only way to pay monthly is through your bank account, and that makes it pretty straightforward for folks. I think the one of the keys too when you go into the site is you always want to make sure you identify the Aflac product. And I should say, and I maybe should have mentioned this earlier, this product is on a legal corporation called Tier 1, T-I-E-R, Tier 1. Tier 1 is an Aflac company. Aflac is the parent company, but Tier 1 is the actual insurance entity where the policy will be issued. So be sure you're aware of that little subtle difference. If someone were to say to you, well, who's this tier 1? I thought you said it was Aflac. Well, it's Aflac. It's an Aflac subsidiary.
Yeah, that's really important to realize that tier 1 would be the verbiage with Aflac.
Yep. As we said earlier, Aflac, is a incredibly well-recognized company. A Fortune 500 company, which means it's one of the 500 largest companies in America. They serve over 50 million people worldwide. That is just simply amazing. The reach of this organization is really second to none. It is just incredibly wonderful.
Yeah, it's incredible that our agents can offer it now.
That's right. And again, you're getting this product exclusively through the Elder Care Organization. This is one you're just not going to find somewhere else. They truly have the inside track. The page I have on the screen right now is a page that's on the back of that brochure we were talking about earlier. And this is something I think is so important. You can use the brochure to help the customer understand their need, quantify the need, understand the various product features. All that's in the brochure to be at your fingertips. On the back page is a place where you can write their name, write the type of insurance, the amount of coverage, write in the beneficiaries, recap a series of things with them. How much the premium's going to be, when is that premium going to start? If you complete this and leave this brochure with them, you have personalized the sale. For some people, life insurance is very confusing. It's important as an agent to make sure the customer understands clearly what they have chosen to do. It is of no value for you to know, so to speak. It's of real value for the customer to know. The next day, a daughter, a son, a brother walks in and says, why'd you do this? Well, if you have this brochure and inside they have written in various costs of dying and the total amount of coverage and how much a person is choosing, then on the back, recap this. There's no confusion about a customer has purchased a life insurance policy. They bought this amount of coverage. They bought it because they're trying to take care of these kinds of expenses, and they expect to make a payment on this date. If you do these things, you eliminate confusion, which are the most common reasons for confusion that people run into. It's amazing to me, but it's a fact. You're confused. Oh, I didn't know I was buying life insurance. How can you not know you were buying life insurance if you walk through this process? So use this brochure as your key tool in order to describe the need, help a person quantify the need, understand how the product works, and this page kind of says what's happening next. You're going to pay this premium, you're going to pay it on this date, and this is what you're purchasing through this transaction.
Right. No, it's a really great reference piece for them to keep on hand if they ever forget or someone asks them, their children ask them, they'll easily have that to reference back to. And I kind of wanted to point out too that this presentation that we're looking at is the consumer facing presentation that follows along with that brochure as well.
You're exactly right. Good point. And there's going to be a lot of additional marketing materials coming out very shortly to help folks. So be on the lookout for that. And,
yes. So I do have a few questions that have come through. Do you want me to go through them? I'm trying to make sure I ask the ones that are specific to this product. I do see a lot of questions coming through about.
Yeah, let's see if I can.
I don't know if you're able to see them.
All right. Well, how about if you pose them, because I might see them on the screen right now.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to.
I'm not seeing them, and I think that may be a function.
Okay, so I did have an agent ask if we show some slides. And then they also asked if they're going to get a copy of the PowerPoint, and we're short for time, so we're not going to re-show any slides right now, Donna, but yes, there is a copy of this presentation, and we can make sure that you get that. I did have someone ask, when the accidental death benefit rider ends at age 70, does the policy premium automatically reduce, or will it remain the same?
It would automatically reduce.
Okay. All right. Thank you for asking that, Robert. And then we had an agent say that they got a little distracted about the electronic signature, but they were saying that it has no wet signature required. And then if they do get an emailed copy of the outline application for the agent's file.
Yeah, two things. One signature process is if you have a device where someone could sign on the screen, you can in fact sign with your finger. But in many cases, most cases, the most common phase, even when face-to-face with a customer, is you can turn the computer and they just click the button and apply the signature. You will have the ability at the end of each application to save a copy. You will have that in your file. So yes, you'll have that readily accessible to you.
Awesome. Thank you for asking that, Toby. I did have another question. They're kind of running together, sorry.
That's all right.
We did have the question, when will it be available for quoting and applications?
Yeah, and the system and software, the product is available now. The key is getting yourself appointed with elder care, and that sometimes takes a few days. Number one. Number two, I should tell you that there's going to be, the introduction of this product is going to occur in waves. The initial wave will have, I think there's 12 or 15 states.
Okay.
There will be second waves in June and July, and a third one beyond that. It just, for them to bring up all the states takes a little time. So you will want to look to see if your state's available as of, as of a point in time. And I'm hoping come August, September this year, we'll see everybody out there. Ultimately, every state and Washington, D.C., except for New York, will be available. However, I do know that there's a good 10 or so states that do not have approval yet and are working on.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to kind of look at what's happening in these waves. And there's one of the tools coming out with the material here shortly is going to be a map of the United States that will show what's available now and when the next waves are coming out.
Okay. I did have an agent ask about the components around paid up policy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same agent asked, is the appointment set for only final expense or all Aflac products? So that's a great question, Tom.
Sure. Okay, two parts. The paid up, there's not an option to have a fully paid up policy. In other words, if you take out a $10,000 policy, there's not an option to pay and at one day it's all paid up for $10,000. The paid up option is one where a person's paid for 5 or 6 years and they say, I can't pay anymore and I would like to get a reduced paid up policy. Well, the reduced paid up policy may be for $2,000 or $3,000. It would reduce the face amount and lock it in at that time. That's what's called a reduced paid up. But there is not an option to fully pay it up because that's just not in the system. There are policies like that in the insurance world, but that is not an option for this policy. The second part of the question, and then I've just drawn a blank on what you told me that was. Help me out.
Basically, the appointment, if it's for this product or all products.
Thank you. Make sure, we need to make a distinction. We mentioned it earlier and I'm going to make it again now. If you have an Aflac appointment, that has nothing to do with this because your new appointment will be a tier 1 insurance company. Mm-hmm. A tier 1 insurance company is a brand new company. And as of today, the only product offered is this final expense product. So once you are appointed with Tier 1, that gets you access to the final expense policy. If you have interest in other Aflac products, that's something that I will turn it to the experts at Elder Care to see what other products you have available, and that requires an appointment with Aflac to do that.
Yes, we do have other products, but that is that separate contract. So this contract will be specific for this Tier 1 Aflac final expense product.
Good deal.
Okay, I did have a lot of questions about which states are in those waves, and that is something we can follow up with you, Beverly and Donna. It's kind of, I don't have a visual, but I can give you an idea for your specific states. Because I know that we have agents in states from all over the US on here.
Yeah, and there was we've seen some preliminary information that has since changed a bit. And as recent as yesterday, I saw the current update of that. So with the material that'll be going to the Elder Care office here very, very soon, you're going to see a current map.
Yes. Yeah, that will be coming soon as well. But we really wanted to get something out because I know we've had a lot of questions about the product. So I really, really wanted to provide this opportunity for you all to see, you know, what is happening with this new product and for you to be able to ask some of your questions. I do know that, you know, marketing materials will be coming out soon. I mean, they're going to be really on it for you guys to help market and sell this product. I did have a question about rates as well. I mean, those are coming soon. I do know that they're really competitive with the other products out there. I would say they range in the top 5 when it comes to being competitive with those rates. Am I safe saying that, Bob?
I think that's a great way to say it. It is very competitive. And I think you're going to see it being very attractive to people.
Yes, yes, that duck is very handsome. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming through. I know that, like I said, it lags. So if you do have any final questions, please ask them. I know that we went over a little bit of time, but I do appreciate all of you taking the time to learn about this with me because I'm learning as well when I'm on these trainings. I have a lot of good thank yous. Absolutely, we appreciate all of you. We're excited about this. And we can't wait to be able to share more information as that comes, but you know, you can begin that contracting process. So if you are interested, you can comment interested, you can call us, email us, and we can begin that process for you. So when those things become available, you have instant access, okay? I don't see any other further questions. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Bob?
Well, I just a couple closing comments. I want to thank everybody for investing the time they did today because this is an investment in your future as a professional in the industry. You have a very unique opportunity here to really help families in America, and I think that's what this is all about. And you have chosen one of the finest organizations that conducts business in America, and that's Elder Care. You've got a great resource team here to help you, and they are backed by the full support of Integrity Marketing Group, and just proud to be on a call with you. It's a delight. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm proud as well. This is an amazing partnership. So thank you so much, Bob. Thank you, agents, and y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, bye, Bob. Bye, agents.